Star Trek is coming to San Diego Comic Con. They will be there with two panels. Strange New World Season 4 will take the spotlight, but what I am really hoping for is news about the future of the franchise. Who will succeed Kurtzman and what are the plans? Because if the most exciting thing for Star Trek right now is a new Lego set coming in September, your franchise is in trouble. This is the review of champions, and I'm your host, Grandmaster. With me is a powerful panel made up of the finest champions Cigar has to offer. Let me introduce them to you. First up, we have Merv. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm very good.
And we have Taylor, our original. How are you, man?
I'm great.
Yeah, it's good to hear. This is episode 28 of the Star Trek Project, where we will be reviewing Star Trek, all of it in order of release, kind of. And today we're going to talk about the final season, season 7 of Star Trek Deep Space Nine. But before we do, I want to ask you all to help us out. Like, share, and subscribe. And if you really want more of us, you can join our ranks. Go to Sakar at sakar.freeforms.net, set up an account, and you can join our shows. And how you do that? Well, click on the link in the description. It's that easy. As mentioned before, we will be discussing the 26 episodes of season 7 of Deep Space Nine. And we'll dive right into that. And we always start with our section called Grandmaster's Picks. In that section, I get to pick some episodes, normally 3, today a little bit more. And the champions have to talk about those first. And we're going to do it a little bit differently this time. I will drop my first 2 picks, and Taylor and Merv will talk about those. And then we get to talk about their episodes. The final 8 episodes, 9 episodes I picked, which is basically the season finale, we will discuss after that. So, my first picks are double episode, basically Image in the Sand and Shadows and Symbols, the first 2 episodes of the season. And then I picked the episode Inter Arma in Siden Leges, another episode, which is right before the finale starts. But first I'm going to talk to Merv. Merv, you finished Deep Space Nine. You've watched the final season. You are a first-time watcher of Star Trek, so also of Deep Space Nine. And before we started this whole shebang, we said, wait until Deep Space Nine. That's the best Star Trek has ever done. Even Taylor, even Taylor mentioned that it was the best thing they did besides the original show. And I can understand where Taylor is coming from. He is the original, so he likes the originals. So, do you agree, with your limited knowledge of Star Trek so far, that Deep Space Nine is the best Star Trek has ever been?
I do agree.
Oh, that's good.
uh, I thought it was an awesome show. It was an awesome addition to the Star Trek universe that I had been uh, exploring for the past couple of years now. And yeah, I thought it was great.
Mm.
I thought even the ending, a lot of times like shows don't have like super strong endings, but this show had a really strong ending, which we'll get to later.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Like that 8 episodes season
Yeah.
finale is like, we'll talk about that later. First up, those 2 episodes at the beginning, which I mentioned, the Image in the Sand and Shadows and Symbols, they actually go on where season 6 ended, Tears of the
Mhm.
Prophet. Tears of the Prophets, I should say. So yeah, let's talk about that. The start of the season. What do you think of the introduction of a new character, basically? So let's talk
Yeah,
about it.
obviously, Cisco heavy lore here. I thought, the first 2 episodes, Images in the Sand, Shadows and Symbols, was some of the best Cisco content that we had gotten in quite some time. Obviously, setting the stage for the final season, really hammering home the whole prophet idea, and really showing how much, like, the prophets have been influencing Cisco's life and creating it since like before he even knew what they were and things like that. So it was really interesting, like um, I don't know what you call it, revelations and histories regarding Cisco. And I also really enjoyed his troubled, he was seeing visions and his relationship with Jake and stuff like that. I really enjoyed that aspect in these episodes as well.
Hmm.
Um, and I thought it was all really fitting, like kind of him being the one to, it's another situation of like there's a problem that we end the previous season on, and then like it kind of gets, the problem gets resolved like relatively quickly, but not unsatisfyingly. This one being like the wormhole's closed. Okay, how do we get the wormhole back open? Well, we gotta go into this whole thing and Cisco visions and all that stuff and freeing a prophet from a vessel, or it all it was all really interesting, but the details are going to be hazy on at best on me. um
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Also, there's that little callback where we see Casey Wicks, who plays Demar in the show, without his makeup as a doctor, and it's like a little callback to Far Beyond the Stars,
oh
previous
yeah,
episode
yeah.
from season 6, which is, as we will find out, it's in my top 10 list, but I will not spoil it. Um, but anyway, I absolutely love that's there in there as well. And then of course the reveal that there's an orb of the emissary, and there's a prophet that will fight the power wave that's in the wormhole, etc. Yeah, it's I absolutely love it. And of course I picked the other episode, which is Inter Arma Enim Sine Legis. In time of war, the law falls silent. And it's an episode, of course, that deals with intrigue.
Hmm.
And
Okay.
yeah,
uh
so
you know uh, I'm sorry.
what did you think of that?
I enjoyed it. I will say, this is, I think, at this point at least, like the second appearance of like Luther Sloan in Section 31. And it makes me wish they had introduced this aspect sooner, because I would like more episodes that kind of detour into these like black ops situations. When you stand back and think of the Federation, it's this like perfect society, right? But then knowing that there's this super gray fraction of it that is doing all these things behind the scenes, like it really adds some intrigue and interest. And I really enjoyed that it was Bashir who spends his free time, masquerading as private detectives in the Hollow Suite and things like that. That he's the one who gets like looped into this CIA, you know, uh, secret undercover fiasco. I really enjoyed it, but my impression is like, I wish there was more. I wish there, and I know there's a Section 31 show that I've never seen, and I've heard, or maybe it's a movie, but I haven't heard great things about it. But it's just like, I'm curious about this aspect of Star Wars, or Star Wars. Sorry, I'm sorry. I'll leave. of Star Trek. Of Star Trek.
You're not the
So
first to make this mistake, and you won't be the last, so no
yeah.
worries.
But yeah, I really enjoyed that episode. Um,
Yeah, okay. Well, Taylor, you can talk about the same 3 episodes, of course. Where do you want to start?
Okay, well, of course, the uh, first episode of the season, Image in the Sand, is good. Like, Merv covered, you know, the main part about it, and those first 2 episodes where Cisco has to go on that journey of discovery and sees his dead mother and finds out she was a prophet and all of that. So yeah, very heavy, very heavy stuff that sets the
Yeah,
stage for the rest of the season. Um, Now, of course, bad news for this season is that Jadzia Dax is dead, and I didn't like that. The good
hmm
news is Esri Dax is alive, and I like Esri Dax. I like her. She's a
hmm
good character, and I think Nicole DeBoer does a great job. Also, Colonel Kira had time to get a new haircut over the break between seasons, so good for her. She looks good. But yeah, those two episodes are just great, and Merv did a good job covering all of those. As far
Hmm.
as Inter Arma Annum Silent Legis, I'm probably butchering that one. Yeah, it's always cool to get these
No.
Section 31 episodes. And now they're recruiting Bashir. Um, the Romulan senator in that episode is played by Adrienne Barbeau, who's a great actress who's in a lot of really good movies
Hmm.
and TV shows. Uh, Admiral Ross is involved in this plot, so the war is horrible at this point. All right, who knows how many people have died on all sides, and it just has been grinding on and on and on, and everyone is getting desperate, and hard decisions and hard things have to be made, including by Admiral Ross and others, and of course we've seen Cisco do things that
Hmm.
were not easy for him to do either.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess again another great. And I believe now if I'm not mistaken, they didn't say it, but the ship that they took during this episode to go to the meeting on with the Romulans, whatever it was, it really looked like a Voyager class ship or the same class ship as a Voyager ship. So I don't know if it was or not, but it looked like it, and I think that's cool if it was that.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it was a Voyager ship, and they could use, of course, the sets from Star Trek
Yeah,
Voyager, which was in its fifth season at the time.
right.
So yeah, that was quite handy. Small investment, no investment, but still, you get to change scenery. So yeah,
Exactly.
and yeah, that's also always. Yeah, I picked this episode especially because I just love the intrigue and the discussion between Julian and Admiral Ross at the end is
Hmm.
yeah, I think it's a very significant discussion. You know, how far do you go to win? What do you want after? It's like a 4D chess game they play at the time. Like they're already thinking about what do we want after the war, and
Right.
and yeah, yeah, I really enjoyed it. Well, um, Murph, um, do you have an episode you want to discuss on season 7? And of course, you're forbidden to pick the last, um, everything after the one we just discussed.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. I'll start us off with the Siege of AR 558.
Yeah, I thought you might.
So the big thing that sticks out to me is just how different this episode feels from every other Star Trek episode.
Hmm.
It is basically all of a sudden we're in like gritty hand to hand warfare, and not like uh, I don't know how to describe it, but not like oh we're Dominion running across a rock field, but this feels like a Vietnam movie almost. You know what I mean? Like it's bleak, it's
Hmm.
dark. There the hope is diminishing. Like it's very war torn in Beachy Don, and obviously the big. I don't even want to say payoff, but like the big, there's huge ramifications for some major characters in this, or at least Nog, as he loses a limb. Spoiler. But I just really like all of a sudden there was this huge tonal shift where we're boots on the ground and help isn't coming and like it really like struck me as like this should be in like MASH, not in Star Trek, but it worked so well.
Hmm.
I really enjoyed it quite a lot.
Yeah, yeah, amazing episode. And the moment that Nog is injured and they're awaiting the attack from the Dominion, and you hear Vic Fontaine singing on the recording they brought, that gives me chills. Then yeah, that's it's an amazing episode. Taylor, you think so too, right?
Yeah, it's a really great episode. Of course, one of my
Mm-hmm.
favorite parts of it is one of the guest stars is Bill Mooney, who of course played Will on Lost in Space. He was also on Babylon 5 and a lot of other great shows. But he plays the engineer of the troops that have already been on the planet there for 5 months,
Mm-hmm.
and he does a great job. But yeah, it's just a great episode. It does bring me to one nitpick. which is just kind of a general Star Trek nitpick, how they kind of forget stuff sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Phasers have like 16 settings on them, but they only ever use one when they're in battle with the Jem'Hadar. We've all seen them do a steady beam with a phaser and cut through steel and stuff. If they had used that setting in this episode when all those Jem'Hadar are charging at them, sliced them all in half just like that. But they don't do that.
Yeah, but maybe that's a setting cut and isn't as powerful as kill. I don't
Okay,
know.
we'll go
Yeah,
with
I
that.
don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Taylor, if it's logic you seek in pop culture, then yeah, you're gonna be more disappointed than satisfied. I
Exactly.
think.
Hey, don't even get me
So
started on replicators.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, the gold press platinum from the replicator should be
Yeah,
possible, but it's
yeah,
not.
yeah. Quark, I've lost everything. You've got a replicator right behind you. You can make literally everything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's not as good as the real thing, you know. But anyway, um, I'm hoping you do the follow up on this episode, but you're of course free to pick whatever episode you want,
um,
except the last 9.
yeah, Roger. Yeah, Siege of AR 558. Other than the weird settings on the phasers, great episode. Uh, Treachery, Faith, and the Great River,
Yeah,
where we find out Wayun 5 is dead, possibly murdered. Wayun 6 defects, and Wayun 7 is in charge and is trying to get back Wayun 6. Uh,
to
we
kill
we know
him.
that we know that the disease is killing the founders, and we hear just how bad it is. But my most favorite part of this episode is when Wayun 5 tells us the Vorta backstory, the Vorta origin story, if it were. And it's something to the effect that the Vorta were basically primitive, almost ape-like creatures who one day saved a shapeshifter and was then befriended by the shapeshifters and beloved by the shapeshifters from that point on, and then served them. Now, cool story, and of course, Wayun, the actor, does a great job telling it. But I always wonder in the back of my head, is that the true story? Or is that the story the founders told the Vorta is their origin story? you know?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I also love the part where the Nog element of this episode, where he helps Chief O'Brien out to get the things he need, and at a certain moment, Cisco's desk is missing
Yeah.
because there's some guy, some administrator who wants to take a picture behind the desk of great
Yep.
captains, but he doesn't have the time to come to Deep Space Nine, but they have time to ship the desk back and forth. Yeah, it's
Yep.
really great.
The Ferengi know-how does come in handy sometimes.
Yeah, yeah,
Except when you're trying to get, what is it, self-sealing stem bolts. Those can't unload
exactly.
those on anybody. But yeah, he
Or
definitely did a lot of wheeling and dealing in this episode.
yeah, or do a prisoner exchange at Empok North. That also doesn't work out. That's great. But anyway, Murph, you have another episode to talk about.
Sure. I'll just get to that follow-up episode. It's only a paper moon.
Exactly. Thank you.
um, yeah. Obviously, this follows up with Nog, who has lost his leg. He has recovered physically enough to return to Deep Space Nine, but emotionally, he is a mess. He doesn't, nothing really tastes as good to him. Nothing seems as fun, and he kind of recludes himself to the Hollow Suite with Vic Fontaine, and kind of uses that as a crutch. It's interesting because like so many the characters try to reach out to him, they try to help him, and nothing really seems to get through. And really, it's like the distraction of the Hollow Suite and like running this club with Vic and that sort of thing that kind of lets him breathe a little bit, but obviously he's still like got some PTSD from things. Um, and then I think I forget who tells him, but essentially Vic realizes that like he's Nog isn't healing. He's like he's just avoiding it, and he's essentially he might not be dead, but he's dying a little bit every day or whatever. And he he kind of sets him on the right course, and it's really like kind of an emotional train wreck to watch like Nog lash out at people who have his best interest in mind, but it's he can't cope with the stuff that he's dealing with his feeling of loss and his fear and all that stuff. And it was a really interesting and probably the deepest arc, or semi arc or whatever that Nog has had during the course of all 7 seasons. So yeah, it was really really emotional and satisfying to see come to fruition here.
Yeah, it's of course an episode that deals with PTSD, and yeah, it's it's a really strong episode, despite it's being basically a holodeck episode. So, and usually those are not the best, but this is the exception. And of course, Dixon Hill, but that's another review. Um, Taylor, you had another one?
Yeah, well, It's Only a Paper Moon is a really great episode, and the way we see, basically Nog's therapy
Yeah.
through through that holodeck program with Vic Fontaine, and watching 1962 circa television in there, watching Shane and the Searchers, and I believe there was a reference to watching the Untouchables TV show in there.
Mm-hmm.
A
Yeah.
lot of fun, and very powerful episode while still being a lot of fun. And by the way, just to go back one on the treachery, faith, and the Great River. One thing I also wanted to mention was that Wayun 6 at the end actually kills himself to save Odo, because no matter what, they are just programmed to save the founders, no matter what. All right, now let's see if there were any others. Oh, Field of Fire is one I wanted to mention, where 3 officers are murdered, and it turns out that can't figure it out. It's basically a murder mystery episode, and Dax uh, uses the memories of her former host, who was a killer, to help them solve the case. And it turns out that it is actually a Vulcan committing the murders. He was apparently snapped, who thinks logic is dictating that he has to kill kill people. He's a Vulcan serial killer. I think that's a one time only in Star Trek history, and
Mm-hmm.
he's using a really cool rifle that transports the bullets the instant they leave and transports them to the target, so he doesn't have to be anywhere near near the target to kill them. So again, it was a really fun murder mystery, and I like how Ezri Dax gets to shine in it. And I got a note here, and I believe this is correct, that episode was actually directed by Tony Dow, who was the big brother on Leave It to Beaver. So good for him.
Okay. Interesting. Interesting. Um, I don't know, Murph, if you have another one.
Sure. After Image. Um, this was the episode that, so it sucks losing Jadzia, and I was like, well, this is interesting the way that they're replacing her, but this episode really propelled Ezri as an interesting character for me, because it is bringing all the baggage with it. She's trying to fit in, she doesn't fit in, she can't seem to find a groove in her work. She like knows that there's some weird uncomfortable feelings with Worf. She reconnects kind of with like Bashir and Quark and all these other characters, but she feels like a fish out of water, and she's basically about to leave, um, until Cisco basically convinces her to stay. Um, and then like things kind of smooth out. But I thought this was a really amazing episode for um, bringing Esri to like Jax's or Jadzia's status in my head. To the point where I was like, this is the most interesting I've been in Dax in since her initial flirtations with Worf. So I thought this was really interesting.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Well, thank you for that, Murph. It's time to start talking about the season finale, which is like a few episodes long. Let me mention them real quick. It starts with Penumbra. Then we have Till Death Do Us Part, Strange Bedfellows, The Changing Face of Evil, When It Rains, Tacking Into the Wind, Extreme Measures, The Dogs of War, and then the final double episode, What You Leave Behind. Well, it basically starts with Worf being lost, and then Ezri is going to find him. They being captured by the Breen, which brings them to the Dominion, and then Damar helps them escape at a certain moment just before they're being executed, and Damar starts a rebellion, which Kira and Odo start to support, and Garrick, and then there's a plot line with the founders being ill and they need to find a cure because it's Section 31 committing genocide, etc., etc., etc. And it ends, of course, with the liberation of, or the destruction of the Dominion and the liberation of Cardassia, if you can call it, or is it the conquering of Cardassia? That's a nice, interesting debate to have. But basically, it's like, what is it, 8, 9 episodes, which is basically one big story. And you can't pick episodes from that. It's just one big story, and you need to discuss it as a whole. So Taylor, um, I'm going to start off with a question which only you can answer because you are our living database. Is the 9 episode season finale of Deep Space Nine, and basically it's 10 because the final episode is a double episode. Is it the greatest season finale of any TV show in history when it comes to finishing up a story and taking its time, but still making it cohesive and like working out all the plot lines and just they nailed it.
Yeah, I would say it is because they really did nail it, and they did a whole lot in those last whatever it is 9-10 episodes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you can sign off on all those 10 episodes right now.
I mean, it's fantastic. Yes, I mean, so much happens. The Breen entering the war, the um, Cardassians becoming more and more disillusioned with the fact that they are basically cannon fodder for the Dominion at this point, and they don't get hatched rapidly like Jem'Hadar to in factories. They're actual people with families who are dying out there. Ducat's whole arc with him pretending to be Bajoran and his whole plot with Kai Wynn, all to get the Pa Wraiths back in power or whatever. And then, of course, Damar breaking with the Dominion and becoming a leader of the rebellion, a hero of the Cardassian people after being a dictator and a lackey up until this point. He becomes a true hero, sacrificing everything for his people. Uh, and then the war itself, just goes on and on. They of course, one of the reasons that they needed to find the cure for the plague on the shapeshifters was that Odo himself was infected. And of course, Section 31 and others were like, "Yeah, cost of war, collateral damage. We're going to save millions of lives by giving up this one guy." But of course, Bashir and others are not not going to go along with that. So they do find the cure. Um, the guerrilla, Kira, of course, using her guerrilla knowledge, her terror, not terrorist, but freedom fighter, guerrilla warfare experience to help the Cardassians, who of course she learned it by killing Cardassians in the first place, to help the Cardassians rise up and start a rebellion. Uh, the Klingon side story, Gowron being an a-hole and causing a whole lot of problems when he decides to fire Martok and take over for himself, just out of jealousy and fear that Martok was becoming too popular. And then, of course, Worf ends up killing Gowron, and at the end, he becomes an ambassador, Federation ambassador to Klingon, which is pretty poetic, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just so much happening. The
Yeah.
Defiant gets destroyed, and then we get a new Defiant.
Yeah.
Huge battles. The Dominion finally being defeated. Uh, the surrender ceremony, the signing of the papers, the peace treaty papers, the surrender papers on
Mm-hmm.
Deep Space Nine, fitting, of course. Uh, I think they mentioned in one episode 800 million Kardashians killed in the war. Uh,
Yeah.
and then Cisco's personal journey, all just played out perfectly. And at the end, Worf's an ambassador. O'Brien is going to be a teacher at the academy. Gets to take his family back home to Earth. Kira is still there on Deep Space Nine. Dukat kills kills Kai Wynn. Cisco tackles him into a pit of doom, but Cisco is saved by the prophets, and he ends up there. I mean, yeah, this is like a novel. This is just
Hmm.
endless, endlessly entertaining, perfectly executed. Um, you know, nitpicks. Another
Yeah.
one similar to my phaser nitpick. In all these battles, we see a whole lot of Galaxy class Federation starships. How come none of them separated their saucer sections? Because aren't they supposed to be much better at fighting when they don't have the saucer section?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
all those shots were going through those saucer sections. They're a much smaller target without those saucer sections as well. And by the way, did they have kids and families on those ships in all these battles with the?
I think they took him out and left him on the starbase before they
Did
left
they finally figure out it's
for the
too
battle.
dangerous to have kids on a starship?
Yeah. Yeah.
Let,
Yeah.
let's hope so. But
Yeah.
I jest. It's just fantastic. I could just blather on about it for a long time here, but yeah, I'll let y'all go.
Yeah, you can easily just start watching those with Penumbra. The first episode of the 10, and then just watch it, and you have like 2 days, and it's perfectly entertaining, and you enjoy it, and then you can restart again right after. It's just great. Of course, there are other TV shows who had as great finales as well, but I'm 100% convinced Deep Space Nine did it best. And it's just everything you want is in there. You know where the characters are going. Knock even gets a promotion at the end. And all those little all those plot lines, all those little stories. It's so satisfactory the way they end it. It's there's nothing like yeah, you do want more, but it's like, okay, it's fine as it is. I don't need anything else anymore after this.
Hmm.
It's great. Any like minor nitpicks in these 10 episodes for you, Taylor?
No, I really don't think
Yeah.
so. Um,
Not even
it,
like I wish they one Breen would have taken off his helmet.
it would have been nice if one Breen took off his helmet. There was the episode, and this isn't a nitpick. This is just more good stuff. But where the Breen fleet basically goes on a suicide mission and attacks Earth, which of course
Hmm.
hadn't happened up to that point. Most of the Breen ships end up getting destroyed on their way out, which just shows, how committed these Breen are to this new cause with the Dominion. And then, of course, there's the point where the Breen have this new weapon that shuts down Federation and Klingon ships, which again, of course, we have to figure out a way to overcome that and to stop that weapon, which again just creates another up and down in this whole roller coaster of this war.
Yeah. Murph, you saw these 10 episodes for the first time. I have seen them many times. I think Taylor has also seen them multiple times. So we already said it's 10 episodes and it's a great finale. So you knew what was coming. Did it disappoint you?
Not even a little bit. I will say I don't think I remembered that it was 10 episodes because I remember being midway through the season, like episode 16 or 17 or whatever, and then all of a sudden it was like I feel like I'm in the end game. Like there's like so many more episodes left. Like I just wasn't used to like an arc becoming that. And then I remembered that like, oh yeah, it's like basically the second half of this season is all the finale.
Mhm.
So yeah, but I felt like like when I was watching it, like I felt like it just started escalating appropriately and then firing on all cylinders and like paying this thing off, but leading to this thing. And I thought everything really worked like all really well. Um, just like I agree with everything that Taylor said. But just to highlight one in particular, I thought Tacking Into the Wind was like, for me, I was just edge of my seat the whole time. I loved everything with Kira and the gorilla, like when she was training and there was all that tension building between her
Hmm.
and Damar's underling and that whole situation. And that was also the episode where Worf challenges Gowron and defeats him in one-on-one combat. And I had already mentioned that I loved Gowron for a long time, but it was fitting to see how he kind of, I don't know, lost his way here. Naturally, it was always going to be Worf who took up the mantle, and then he hands it off. So I thought that was fitting.
Yeah. For
Um,
me, the one of the highlights in these 10 episodes in this arc is the moment Damar receives news that his family's been murdered, and he's like,
Right.
what kind of monsters do these things?" And then Kira, she had to say it. Yeah, Damar, what kind of monsters do these things? And that moment, and then Damar realizes what she's saying, and then he's not angry with her, and then Garrett pointing out this is exactly what he needs to hear at this moment. I think that it's so well done and so well written and so well acted on all, and it's such a highlight for me, and it's just a scene like 20 seconds, and
yeah,
it sticks in here, forever.
yeah.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
Another
One
cool
for me there.
episode.
Oh,
I'm
I'm sorry.
sorry. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Taylor.
Another cool episode is Extreme Measures, where O'Brien and Julian have to go inside Sloane's head to find the cure for
Hmm.
Odo because Sloane killed himself.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, you're
absolutely. It's also very interesting, and that Julian almost can't resist the urge to look for more inside
Hmm.
Sloane's head, which is of course the seduction that is taking place. Yeah, it's absolutely amazing.
one
Okay.
of the little moments that stuck with me during all that. I don't remember if it was that episode or Extreme Measures or one of the episodes during that whole thing. But at some point, Garrick's got a gun pointed maybe at Damar or at his underling or whatever, and he's like, "You're not going to shoot your own kind." And I'm sorry, Garrick's response was like, "You don't know me at all," and because we as the audience do, and we know he would absolutely shoot him in the head if
Yeah.
that meant whatever.
Yeah,
So
Garrett does what needs to be done. So if that means
yeah,
putting a phaser hole in your spoon, then that's. I said spoon because they're called the spoon heads, right? The Kardashians.
there's
You understood that reference, I guess.
The bloody
pretty
cardies.
much
Yeah,
there's no line he won't cross, and I just love that in that moment he was basically saying, "Yeah, of course I would,"
yeah. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
In a heartbeat, without even
yeah.
thinking. But anyway, yeah.
There's maybe one little side subplot that I could have done without, and that was Bashir and Esri Dax getting together romantically.
Yeah.
Julian's not good enough for her. Come on.
No, yeah, well, no, yeah, yeah. Genetically enhanced trill babies. I don't know. And yeah, we had a little recording issue. One or video did not upload or did not register, so we had to do the second part of our review on another date, and that's today. Um, But we're still in the mood to talk about Deep Space Nine Season 7. No worries. And we will still do our top 10. It will come right now after I ask some very important questions to our champions. And I'm starting with Merv. And Merv, I'm going to ask you a very important question, and I just want a straight shootout answer. Garrick or Nog?
Garrick.
No need to explain,
Yep.
just the answer. And for Taylor, I have another very important question, and he just needs to settle this debate. Golden Cut or Kai Wing?
Goldukat.
Fair. No need to explain. I just wonder what the answers would be if the questions were reversed, but we're not going to play that game because we have been teasing you for like 6 or 7 months about a top 10 list. And the champions, me included, have worked very hard to make this top 10. So let's dive right into it. And we're starting with our pick number 10. And mine is an episode we just discussed. One of my picks from today. And it's Inter Arma Enem Siden Leges. The episode where Bashir travels with Admiral Ross and Director Sloan to Romulus, and there's a plot going on, and they it's a great episode. We just discussed it, but I just wanted to point out it was on my list. Merv, you're number 10.
My number 10, I don't think we talked about today, but After Image, which is basically like the culmination of a lot of emotion regarding Esri taking over the Dax persona and showing up on Deep Space Nine.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought it all hit really well and really endeared me to that character in the final season.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you did pick it, by the way. Taylor, you're number 10.
My number 10 is Tears of the Prophets, which is the finale of season 6. It's where we unfortunately lose Jadzia Dax. It's a big episode, big battle, big turning point in the war. Good things happen on the large scale, but on the small scale, bad things happen.
Mm-hmm.
The wormhole gets closed, which is a good thing for the war effort, but a bad thing for Cisco and his connection with the Prophets. Of course, Jadzia dies, but the Federation invasion of Cardassian space is a success, so it's a very, very mixed bag. Macro, great. Micro, horrible. And it was just done really well.
Yeah, yeah. We discussed that at length 2 months ago, I think, when we dropped our season 6 episode review. My number 9 is an episode we discussed earlier. It was one of you guys picked it. It was the Siege of AR 558. The war episode where we see where Nog, my favorite character from Deep Space Nine, maybe lost his leg, and the Jem'Hadar storm stronghold of the Federation, and with all the drama. And I especially love the contrast between Nog laying there with his leg cut off, and then everybody's waiting for the battle, and you hear Vic Fontaine singing in the background. Yeah, and of course we have the callback later in the It's Only a Paper Moon episode. I think we also discussed. So yeah, I just thought it was a great episode. Murph, you're number 9, please.
Mine is Civil Defense. It is basically, I think what endeared me to it is it starts out like a problem of the week. It's where Cardassian defenses start popping up and causing problems on Deep Space Nine, but it just continues to escalate to a hilarious degree, where even at some point Ducat shows up and he gets stuck in his own traps. And I just love the way that episode escalates and escalates as it goes forward. I think it was great.
It's absolutely great. Taylor, your number 9 pick.
My number 9 is A Call to Arms, which is the finale of season 5, when the Federation Klingon Cardassian Dominion war begins, and Deep Space Nine is attacked and taken over, and sets up the next 2 incredible seasons of television.
Yeah, it's where they set up the minefield in front of the wormhole, right?
Mm-hmm.
Next episode. Yeah. Great episode. Great pick. My number 8 pick is Sacrifice of Angels. That's the episode where I think it's the episode where they went into the worm, where Cisco retakes Deep Space Nine in season 6. Am I correct? Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I just love the episode.
That was Sacrifice of Angels, you said, right?
I thought so. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, that's
No,
correct.
yeah. Thank you. Um, Murph, your number 8 pick, please.
Mine goes all the way back to season one. It's Duet. It's
Yeah.
pretty much what I consider like the first like really great episode that hooked me. I thought the writing was excellent. It's the one where there's a guy showing up and he's recognized as a Cardassian like war criminal, but it's actually not him. It's somebody who was working under him, and he was basically to punish himself because he feels so much guilt. He puts himself in a position to basically be executed, and there's just so many layers to it, especially with Kira and the whole Cardassia situation there. So I thought it was a fantastic episode from the first season.
Yeah, I totally agree, as you will find out. Taylor, your number 8 pick.
Number 8 for me is Field of Fire, which we spoke about when we did season 7. That is where Ezri Dax has to track down a Vulcan serial killer.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great episode. Yeah. My number 7 episode is Rocks and Shawls. It's the episode where basically the crew of the Defiant is stuck on a planet, and there's also Vorta with some Jemadar, and the Vorta mentions to Cisco and Bashir that Catrusel White is running out and that he will sacrifice his Jemadar and in return he will be taken as a prisoner of war. And then, yeah. What struck me most about this episode is where the Jemadar uh, lets known that he knows it's a trap and that they will fall, but it doesn't really matter because they serve the founders, and if the founders requires them to die, then that's the order of things. And yeah, that's an amazing episode. And for me, that's order of things is like the same. Like this is a good day to die. The Klingon battle cry, and yeah, it just shows how business-like the Jemadar are going around their killing, and I love it. Murph, your number 7 pick.
Mine, I think this is the one that I didn't mention during our season 7 review, but it's Take Me Out to the Hollow Suite, which this is one of the most fun episodes for me. It basically, the Deep Space Nine crew start an intramural baseball game against the Vulcans, and there's just so much fun to be had here. In particular, the joke that I smile and laugh about the whole time is Worf shouting "Death to the opposition" during a baseball game. I don't know. It's just the funniest thing to me. I'll laugh every single time I hear it. It's so good.
Yeah. Well, as a European football fan, death to the opposition is the mildest thing you shout to the opposition. But anyway, that's let's not get into that. But Taylor, you also have a number 7 pick.
Number 7 is The Die is Cast. That is the episode where the Obsidian Order and the Talia Shar try to commit genocide against the founders, and it doesn't work out too well for them.
No, it doesn't. But yeah, love me some Merv and Taylor. But anyway, number 6. Talking about Merv and Taylor, why Inferno's Light? For me, that's the episode where Worf and Martok and Bashir and Garrick are stuck on Planetoid, Jemadar prison in the Gamma Quantum, and they need to escape. Worf needs to fight a whole bunch of Jemadar in a fighting circle. He earns the respect of not only Martok but also of the Jemadar. The Jemadar first refuses to kill Worf because it no longer interests him, and yeah, and especially the honor that Garrick receives from Worf and Martok because he faces his worst enemy a man can have, his own fears. I love that sequence, and of course they escape, and it's also an episode where the Jemadar invade the Alpha Quadrant and Golden Cut double crosses the Deep Space Nine crew and joins them because he's the new head of state of the Kardashian Union. And well, yeah, it's I think it's one of the best episodes in the whole series. But it's not for nothing. It's not my number six pick. So there are only five better in my view. Murph, you have also a number six pick.
I do. Looking for Parmok in all the wrong places. Another just super fun one for me. All the different love triangles. It feels like every character in this has relationship problems going on here. And I find it all entertaining in like a soap opera kind of way. I think it's great.
Yeah. Yeah, and the most overlooked one is O'Brien and Kira. I love that one. Taylor, your number six pick.
Number 6 is Blood Oath from season 2. That is the episode where Jadzia Dax joins the 3 Klingon commanders, all reprising their roles from the original series, to go and kill some guy who murdered their children.
Yeah, only for Kang, Korg, and Koloff, those actors. It's a great shout out, Taylor. It didn't fit into my list, but it should be there. My number 5 pick is The Way of the Warrior. It's the opening episode, a double episode of season 4. It's the episode where Worf joins the crew, and the Klingon Empire is convinced that the Kardashian Union is run by the founders. So they start a war on the Kardashian Union, but it's a proxy, of course, because they just want to return to their old ways. And I absolutely adore this episode. It really kickstarts the series after the change. New intro, new character, and new vibe in the series. Murph, your number 5 pick.
This one, you just mentioned it briefly, but It's Only a Paper Moon, where essentially Nog's PTSD gets the better of him, and he uses Vic Fontaine and his solo suite to kind of heal from that. There's just so much emotion involved regarding Nog, regarding Vic supporting him, and honestly all of Nog's family and friends trying and often failing to get through to him and help him heal. Nobody really knows what to do, but really just a great story.
Totally agree. Taylor, your number 5 pick?
Number 5. You already called this one. I actually consider this a 2-part episode. That is Favor the Bold and Sacrifice of Angels. They share my number 5.
Okay, that's fine. I'll allow it. My number 4 pick was Merv's number 9 or 8, I think. It was Duet. And he already explained why, and I totally agree. So let's move on to your number 4 pick.
Mine, I talked about in season 6, but it's The Sound of Her Voice. Just something about that story, the sadness of it, how it was doomed from the start, just affected me in a certain way, and it just stuck with me even still.
Yeah, I remember you talking about it passionately in the last episode, and I totally understand where you're coming from. I just didn't have space enough in my top 10 list. I could have fit like 80 episodes in there, and this one would have been in there, but yeah, it's not. Taylor, your number 4 pick.
Again, an episode that's already been called, and again, it's a 2-part episode. It's actually In Purgatory's Shadow and By Inferno's Light, sharing number 4.
Yeah, totally agree. I picked the better part of it, at least for me. But yeah, it's a double episode, and it should be treated as such. We're getting into our top 3s, people. Number 3 for me is the episode Heart of Stone. It's the episode. There are 2 stories going on. Kira gets stuck in a cave and a crystal is growing over her, and Odo needs to find a way to rescue her. But then it turns out that it's not Kira at all, but it's the female founder trying to find out why Odo doesn't want to join the Great Link. But the main part for me in this episode is featuring like I said before, my favorite Deep Space Nine character Nog, who all of a sudden has a change of heart. Instead of being a juvenile delinquent, he wants to join Starfleet, and nobody trusts him for his motivation, and they give him all kinds of trials within Deep Space Nine, and he passes all those trials with flying colors, and they still don't trust him, and it leads up to this an amazing scene, and maybe one of my favorite scenes in TV shows history. And not only Star Trek or Deep Space Nine know everything, where Nog explains to Cisco that he doesn't want to end up like his father. And it's very emotional and very deep. And Cisco is totally convinced. And Nog ends with the promise that Cisco will never ever regret this. And you know what? He never did. Merv, your number 3 pick.
Yeah, my number 3, you both already mentioned it, but it's by Inferno's Light for all the reasons you mentioned. I would just never get tired of watching Worf beat the crap out of Jem'Hadar with his bare hands. It's just always endlessly entertaining.
Taylor, your number 3 pick.
My number 3 is Trials and Tribulations, a beautiful salute to the original series.
yeah, absolutely. So amazing how they integrated Deep Space Nine crew into that classic episode. My number 2 pick is a lot of people's favorite episode of Deep Space Nine. It's In the Pale Moonlight. It's where Garrick and Cisco plot to bring the Romulan Star Empire into the war on the side of the Federation and the Klingon Empire, and they succeed. But how they get there is really well told. I think there's a fourth wall break in there even, and classic memes were born in this episode. Absolutely well written, well acted, and if anyone ever says Avery Brooks couldn't really act well, I will refer to this episode. He absolutely nailed it. Merv, your number 2 pick.
My number 2 is the best Jake Sisko storyline, The Visitor, where essentially Jake, played by Tony Todd, spends his entire life trying to save his dad. And if you don't cry at the end of that, then there's something wrong with you.
I totally agree. I will get emotional while you're talking about it. Taylor, your number 2 pick.
My number 2 is The Way of the Warrior, for all the reasons you already listed.
Yeah, I totally get it. My number 1 pick is an episode that aired about 6 weeks before my number 2 pick aired. So I don't know what they put in the water in the writer's room in that particular era while they were writing these episodes, but it's Far Beyond the Stars. It's the episode where everybody is all of a sudden out of makeup, and in 1950s, was it the 1950s? I think so. And everybody's out of makeup, and it's a story about Benny Russell writing a novel or a story for a magazine about Deep Space Nine, and he says that Benjamin Sisko is real, and the story doesn't get published because of the racism back in the day, and I think it's everything that is what Star Trek is about is in this episode, and it's really close to my heart. And I know it receives a lot of love from the fandom, but I think it's the absolute best Deep Space Nine has ever done. And since Deep Space Nine is the best Star Trek has ever done, it's the absolute best episode in Star Trek history. For me, of course, who am I? Just the Grandmaster. Your number 1 pick.
Well, maybe I'm also the Grandmaster because I also chose Far Beyond the Stars for everything you just mentioned. I think in particular for my highlight, I just loved seeing the characters without their makeup because you don't pick it up right away. And then, of course, the story itself has so many layers to it. It means so many things beyond Star Trek. Just in a real world setting feel to it. So I thought it was fantastic.
Taylor, you're number one.
Yeah. Well, Far Beyond the Stars is a great episode, no doubt. But my favorite episode is the series finale, What You Leave Behind.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't argue with that. I cannot argue with that. It's an absolutely amazing story. Yeah, as you can tell, people, we picked episodes from virtually every season. I think season one is in there 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7.
Mhm.
So it shows the quality of this show. It shows our love for the show and that it was all through all seasons, and I think that's amazing. No doubt you have a better top 10 list than we do. If you want, you can drop it in the comments or come tell us on Sakar how wrong or how right we are. We invite you for this discussion. But that was our top 10s. If we're going to do that again for Voyager, I don't know. Voyager, yeah, we'll see. But this will finally conclude, I can say, this month's episode of the Star Trek Project. We hope you have enjoyed our discussion today. If you did, helps out, like, share, and subscribe, and join our Format Scar. Again, join our Format Scar. Episode 29 of the Star Trek Project. Next month, we will be discussing Star Trek Voyager Season 1. We do have reviews out for the Odyssey, for Spider Noir, Supergirl, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, you know what? And also for Spider-Man Brand New Day. It's dropping as well this weekend. For now, I want to thank you all, also on behalf of Taylor and Merv, and wish you to live long and prosper. Bye.